Good evening, everyone. Welcome in to the Thursday edition of the Hawg Talk podcast. On tonight's show, we're going to recap Arkansas's win over South Carolina last night, touch on Anthony Black's monster dunk, his little brother coming up. Will he be a Razorback? And then we'll touch on some college football tampering, expansion, all that jazz in the second segment. But we'll start off, Adam, with the basketball game last night. Arkansas, impressive win. Everybody gets Chick-fil-A today. 108-74 win over the South Carolina Gamecocks. I'll be honest, I made it halfway through the first half and I passed out, caught up on a little bit of the action today, but outscored South Carolina 50-38 in the second half and then topped it off 58 points in the second half. I don't know if they listen to the show or what, but I mean, everything we say, hey, this needs to be fixed. They seem to bounce back. We kind of gave them a challenge to step it up and be like, look, let's shake the loss off. Let's shake it off. Let's get back on track. And they did everything that needed to be done. Dominating performance, 66 points in the paint, 22 points. I thought they had 22 turnovers, 22 points from turnovers, fast breaks. And so give your thoughts, and I kind of want to touch on something after that. But what were your overall thoughts from the game?
Started off a little slow on both sides. It's a close game, and Arkansas just kind of pulled away a little bit, 12-point lead at halftime, and then quickly extended that in the second half. But 27 assists, 4 turnovers. Just a complete and utter domination. Looking at you had points from all over. We've touched on needing to have 4 to 5 guys in double figures each game, which we had that in the Auburn game, but it just didn't work out in Arkansas's favor. But let's look at, you had 21 from Malik Thomas, 8 for 9 field goals, 5 for 5 from 3. But then he also added in 4 rebounds, 4 steals, and a block. 18 points from Malik Ewan, 18 points, 13 assists from Darius Acuff, 15 points from Nick Pringle, 13 from Brazil, 12 from DJ Wagner. It was just top to bottom, the game of games for Arkansas. And, one big stat that they put up towards the end of the game was last season, Arkansas had one game of 100-plus points, and we've already had 5 this season so far. So this team is dangerous. This team can score at will. Getting 12 assists and 8 blocks is huge. So this is something that you needed before a game like Georgia. So by all means, I expect Georgia's game to be high scoring on both sides. Both are scoring over 90 points a game apiece. I think Georgia's around 96 a game. So this is going to be an exciting week coming up. I feel like kind of exciting, really exciting leading up to the Kentucky game. Kentucky got the buzzer beater win against LSU. We'll see what happens if they move forward. They moved to 11-6 on the season. Arkansas did what they needed to do. They shook off the Auburn loss. They came back at home. They got comfortable. They got settled in and just completely shut down South Carolina in every aspect of the game, minus Michi Hill's 29 points or Michi Johnson's 29 points.
Another thing too is, when are we going to technically just stop putting Malik Thomas's points as bench points?
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. It's kind of a technicality. Yes, it is bench points, but when you're coming out and you're scoring 21, 18, 13, even with you take his points away, they outscored them 26 to 15 bench points. So that was just something I wanted to touch on Monday. But when you look at just how talented, but this shows what happens when everything goes very bad, and shows what happens when everything goes very good. And I'll take one game where they fall apart if I know I'm going to get 3 to 4 wins, because when we were talking about this on Monday, it seems about every 3-4 games they're losing. They'll win 3 in a row, drop 1, win 4 in a row. So I don't care how bad they lose it, because I'll take it if they're going to give me 3 games in a row like this. All right, I'll give you a break as long as you're not going on a 3-game skid. As long as you're not, because we look now, you 1, 2, 3, you want to win 3 in a row. Because if you win 4 in a row and then lose, you got Kentucky. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's one of these things. We see how dangerous the team is. We know how raw they are, and when we ask, hey, look, if you and Ann Pringle both step up, this is what can happen. Well, they showed it. We're not just talking about it and wishing that this can happen. They have now proven that both of them can get out there and produce. And the more that they click, the more this bench truly gets going. It's going to help them down the road. And again, if these guys need a break every 2 or 3 games or 4 or 5 games, if this is what we're going to get in return, hell, I'll take it all day, every day.
100%. And I was just looking at, because last night I knew they talked about it, but I guess I just kind of zoned out for a little bit. But, Michie Johnson's had an interesting career. 2 years at Ohio State, 2 years at South Carolina, 1 year at Ohio State, 1 year at South Carolina. Back forth, back forth.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff like that mixed with, TJ Finley going to his 7th school in college football, the whole transfer stuff. I mean, I know we talked about it till we're blue in the face, but it's just getting out of hand. But no, like last night, I know there was a lot of speculation and wonder about Carter Knox and how he would be only playing 7 minutes against Auburn. And they even talked about, he looked a little gingerly, or running around a little gingerly in pregame, and he kind of looked like it at times. But going up early when he got in with alley-oop dunk in the first half, I mean, these guys were already going, which I didn't even realize until last night. It was brother versus brother, Knox versus Knox. So that was one that he wasn't going to miss that game. Getting to play against his brother, but this is the game that Arkansas needed to bounce back, like I said. So take this, move on to the next. I did think it was funny that they brought up Auburn losing to Missouri in the presser, and Cal was didn't want to talk about it. He was just like, okay, whatever. Like, before I say anything, I'm going to go. And that's, hold on to that for when y'all see Auburn again, and get ready for it. But no, it was a great game. Great crowd environment, minus one joker, which I'm not going to get into all that. But this is exactly what they needed.
Well, and you said hold on to it. I mean, it goes back to what I just said. I mean, think about, all right, guys, look, if we have an off night, this is what can happen, because Georgia, how potent they are. Auburn, talk about Auburn is a good team. The losses, they lost Georgia by 4, but then Georgia turns around and loses last night to Ole Miss by 2. I mean, this is a stout league. And so you've got to come into this knowing that, Georgia scored 95 points and lost. So, like you said it, you're going to have to score, or you're going to have to play really good defense and hope that you get the performance that you had last night. And it's away, 3 p.m. at Georgia, and it will be on ESPN2. So you got this, and then you got Vanderbilt. I think Vanderbilt's still undefeated.
No, they lost last night.
They lost last night. So they had their first loss. So add to this point, Arkansas, and this is where your March Madness, your postseason play is going to come into when you're facing some of these teams. Vanderbilt's riding high, suffered their first loss last night. How are they going to bounce back? And then Arkansas plays them on Tuesday. We go back to the Auburn game. Auburn coming off that loss to Texas A&M on the last, the Hail Mary, then or not Hail Mary, the last second shot that didn't count. You're talking about the 5-point loss to Georgia. Then you go in and you get blown out by Auburn. You're catching a lot of these teams just like Georgia. You score 95 and lose. You start winning these games, you're going to start getting a lot of these teams. You're going to get their best because you're Arkansas, but you're going to get some of these teams coming off losses. Vanderbilt, we'll see how they now react to playing tough teams. Are they going to slide? Was this a high because, they undefeated suffer your first loss. Do they go on a 3-game skid, or do they come back like to prove that they're not a fluke, that they're not a pretender? You get them at their best in Bud Walton Arena on Tuesday. So some of these mental notes to be thinking about on down the road in SEC play, because your target is already big enough as it is. Now you're giving some of these teams motivation. You're catching them off losses. You're catching them off tough losses. How is that going to factor in some of these games?
Mm-hmm. And, you know, I know we're a little bit further, obviously, than when we faced Auburn, but, you know, Georgia might very well be like, hey, we're 2-2 in conference, but our backs are against the wall. Because, you know, Georgia drops this one this weekend to Arkansas, they're out of the top 25, more than likely, because they're currently sitting at 21st. So that's that on top of, hey, we've got Arkansas, we've got John Calipari, we've got arguably the best point guard in the country, and Darius Acuff coming in. Like, we've got to be on our A game. And so their crowd's going to show up. I don't know how it'll affect the players or if it will at all. You know, Georgia has kind of the funky lighting, if you will, kind of the dim lighting on their in their arena, which I kind of like it, but at the same time, I just wonder, you know, it's just a different environment for the players. So we'll see what happens. I'm not saying I'm like worried about this. I think it's just truly going to be who can get to 100 in this game is who I think will win this game.
Well, and who's going to have is Arkansas going to have a back-to-back performance, or are they going to slide back down and Georgia comes in and has the game? This is what we've talked about all non-con. You're going to be on a gauntlet of teams that everybody's talented. Everybody can beat you on any given night. You'd see Kentucky, they're starting to kind of climb back a little bit. You know, they needed a prayer to beat LSU, but still they won. You're coming. That's what we talked about on Monday, that motivation of Kentucky starts getting this motivation. Where are they going to be at in a couple of weeks? LSU, what if they start catching fire? You play them in a couple of weeks. So you've got to be on top of your game. But the biggest point is, you know, guys like Knox stepping up outside of the guys that they entered into the game with 2 minutes and 18 seconds left of the game. Billy Richmond and Carter Knox were the only ones that scored in single digits. So you had Pringle, Ewan step up, Billy Richmond, Carter Knox kind of slim down or slow down a little bit. So you get them to step up when other guys are faltering. You need four guys double-digit scoring. But, man, if you can get 21, 18, 18, 15, I don't see how you're going to lose any of those games.
You really, I mean, it's hard to fathom, really. And this is the type of game, and you know you're not going to get it night in or night out. But if this is any indication of what this team can do, you know, and do it somewhat consistently, then I don't see who, and knock on wood here, but I don't see who could compete with that when we get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because when you look at the NCAA, I mean, you have BYU got their guy. You know, you look at, I mean, outside of Duke, I mean, Michigan State, you know, these tough teams that are tough inside that can really give you problems. But guess what? If you got Wagner, what if he steps up? You know, he scored 12 last night. Ewan, Pringle, those are the big guys. I think that's going to be the unsung heroes if they really go on a run, because you're going to need those guys' presence inside. Not saying you have to have 18 and 15 from them, but I would love to see 8 to 10 from them both. You know, 7 rebounds from Pringle. Ewan gave you 4. So maybe a little bit more rebound presence from those guys too, and you'll be fine. But my biggest fear is, okay, are they going to coast? Are they going to try to just coast to the end and then ramp it back up for March Madness? Or how are they going to take the SEC tournament? Are they going to kind of lull through the SEC tournament? Does that week off hurt them going into March Madness? So you never know what you're going to get, but main point is that PTSD is always going to be there until this team gets a Final Four run or gets past that or gets to the national championship game. There's always going to be that fear of how far can this team go?
100%. And I think we've all noticed obviously we didn't see it as close as Kentucky fans, but there's a sense of revitalization with John Calipari. And so you just kind of hope that carries over to not let these guys get their guard down, to not let them coast. No, you don't want to burn yourselves out. And that's, the fear with the depth and only running 8 guys typically. But I feel like with this little bit of resurgence, a little bit of pep and cow step, I truly feel like he will not let these guys coast through.
Yeah, well, and you see that part where you mentioned it before about the question, or he's asking about Auburn. That just shows that these guys got a pass because they came out and scored 108 points, but he was still pissed about that loss. There's that fire, that revitalization. So he's got that hunger back, and he has told these guys what he expects of them. And if y'all want to achieve this goal, this is what it's going to take. So, yeah, I'm with you. I don't think they're going to coast, or I don't think he's going to allow them to, but it's something that's in the back of your mind because, again, until Arkansas breaks that threshold and they get to a Final Four, we're always going to have those doubts in the back of our head until they achieve that goal.
100%. So we'll see what happens the rest of the season, but just look forward to seeing what they can do on the road in Athens on Saturday.
Yes. And again, that game will be at 3 p.m. ESPN2. So tune into that. And then when we come back Monday, of course, we'll be talking about that. HQ Live will be on Sunday at 8:05 to break down everything. But what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick 30-second break to hear a word from our sponsors, Vision Exteriors. When we come back, we'll deep dive into the college football, NIL, tampering, point shaving scandal. We'll talk about all the craziness that's going on in college athletics and more. We'll be right back after the break. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding insulation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. And welcome back to the Hawg Talk podcast. And Adam, we are coming to the end of football season with the Woo Pig Pick'em. We're coming to the end of the college football season. I can't believe that, we're here. We got one more game, one more college football game left. And, but you're hearing more about tampering. You're hearing more about point shaving. You're hearing more about anything else other than the national championship game. And I'm kind of surprised by it. There's just not a lot of hype that is being around the college national championship. And I think a lot of it too is, you have this gap in between the conference championship. And this is another reason why I think they need to move it back to January 1st is notice when the NFL gets into playoff season, that takes a lot of the attention. You're not going to compete with the media attention that comes from the NFL playoffs. And you're having I don't understand why they have it on a Monday. That is the most ignorant thing in the world, that you have the national championship game on a Monday. But again, very, very surprised. I know a lot of people will say because there's no SEC team in it, but you're seeing already talks of a 16-24 team. And first I'll ask you, do you think after watching this playoffs, what do you think a 24 team playoff would look like?
16 I can get behind. 24 I feel like is excessive. Regardless of, because we've touched on this before, whether it's 16, whether it's 24 or whatever. So if it's 16, teams 17 through 21 are going to be complaining that they deserve to be in. At 24, teams 25 through 30 are going to be complaining that they should have been in. There's always going to be people or teams that think that they should get in. I think that if they're going to expand 16, 24, whatever the case may be. Like we've seen on other shows we've talked about before, get rid of week 0, back everything up into August. And I feel like they're going to have to do like we've talked about, and it's been talked, like play your national championship like on January 1st.
Yeah.
If you're going to, I mean, you look at it, it's a holiday. A lot of people are off. You're going to get the viewership that you want to get. Having it on a random Monday night, the 3rd week of January or whatever, it's just kind of, I'm not going to say it's forgotten because we all tune into it.
But there's
at the
fatigue.
same time, there is. It's just something that it's just like, hey, guess what? Like, things are being, like you brought up, things are taking away from the national championship because we are seeing all over the news, whether it's point shaving, whether it's tampering, coaching changes, transfer portal. There's too much going on. So the highlight, everything can't be about the national championship. We're talking, yesterday, day before, today, whatever. We're hearing more about Miami and Ty Simpson than we are Miami and the national championship. And I don't think that that's fair to Indiana or Miami. The focus should be on this game, not about the drama behind the scenes. So I think that this goes back to the college football calendar that needs to be changed. And the NCAA needs to take a look at, like, hey, we're still going to talk about these things post-national championship. So let's fix the calendar so that all the focus can be on one thing. We can go to all the drama the day after the national championship.
Yeah.
Because right now, it's not fair to these players and these teams that are in this game. And quite frankly, it's tiring. And it's one of those things that, like, hey, let us have one topic for the time being rather than having 50, because quite frankly, the NCAA can't get their act together to get this stuff sorted out. And it's just going to keep growing and keep growing until somebody puts their foot down and says, hey, sue us all you want. These are now the rules.
Yeah.
These are now how things are going to be. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. And guess what? There's nowhere else to go because we're the only entity for you to play football in.
Yeah. And you brought, I mean, because, back when it was the 14 playoff, you had a month off. I mean, there was a month between the SEC championship game. And so you're talking about fatigue there, can you wonder why some of these semifinal games were blowouts? Because you've seen the teams that were really prepared and the teams that were happy to be there. And then you had one good game. So you had 2 blowout games and then a good national championship game. I think you keep it at 12. If you're going to do away with the automatic, keep it at 12. But if you're not, expand it to 16. I'm okay with that. But you at least, if you want to go where the semifinals are on January 1st, so you can have all the bowl games, your major bowl games on around January 1st, and then say January 9th or that Saturday or whatever, have the national championship. That's where I would draw the line of, if you don't want to do it, if you want to have the Rose Bowl on January 1st, and that's how they want to do their thing, look, okay, expand it to the 8th, the national championship game on the 8th. I would be okay with that. But if you get to 16 teams and there's not, you're still giving out, okay, because you can compact that. You don't need a month or 2-3 weeks in between conference championship team, because yes, give them a week off, maybe to get rested, but you can ask a lot of these teams, they don't want that much time off because you want to prepare. But yet, if you have too many bye weeks, or if you have too many weeks in between, you're used to going from August until December. And then in January, you want to break for 2 to 3 weeks. Marcus,
it doesn't have to expand, but that's where, they're already looking at voting on the 16 teams.
Yeah. So, and I'm only saying expand if you're going to keep giving the qualifiers to these Power 5 teams. I'm on it. How I would do it is don't expand. You take away the JMUs and the Tulanes, and you give it to the top 12 teams, and that's it. Because guess what? In the realm of NIL, in the realm of 9 conference games, schedule harder teams, play harder teams on down the road, build your program up, and no, it's going to take us 2 years to build this program. So guess what? 2 to 3 years, we're going to schedule a harder non-conference schedule or whatnot. I don't know the true answer. I like the 12-team format, but you think about it. If you have your first 4 on that, how they did the first weekend of games, really good banger games. The second one, because even if you hit or miss, you still have 2 games where the whole weekend's not gone. You can kind of have a couple of games like the Alabama game where it was just a blowout. And then you at least had another game that, like, I think it was the Miami Ole Miss, or who was it? The Ole Miss Georgia game. You still had another game to back it up to where it was good. And then you go into the national championship game. But this, where you have 10 days off after the semifinals, I just think there needs to be some kind of balance to where teams are ready to go and you have more games to make it more competitive.
And I know that, a lot of this comes down to, the Monday that it is, there's not Monday Night Football. And I know that you're potentially competing with Sunday Night Football in some respects on some weeks. But if you're doing the wild card round, like, it was last weekend. So, the second weekend of January, you're doing the wild card round. Then I'm kind of with you on, you still do like the Rose Bowl and your bowl games. That could be your semifinal or whatever on January 1st. And then that Sunday night after, I get it's hard to compete with the NFL. Their viewership is up. Even though all the folks said they were never going to watch again. They're watching. But NFL's, viewership is up. I know you don't want to compete, but at the same time, people are going to watch the national championship versus watching the last game of the season for this team and this team.
Or
now,
a wild
granted,
card game, or even a wild card game.
And I know Baltimore and Pittsburgh, that doesn't happen all the time, that you have, the night game being for the AFC North and a spot in the playoffs or whatever. But no, they could work out that schedule to be, do the semifinal on January 1st and then the national championship after that. It's just they've got to sort everything out. And I want to bring this up. This, just talking about the transfer portal and all this. This is from a Mississippi State fan, and I just want anybody that wants to chime in. This is what this Mississippi State fan thinks is a realistic idea for Mississippi State to make the college football playoff. And I want your input on this plan. So, and he put, it's no secret that we don't have the NIL money to compete year in and year out. So why don't we basically go ahead and make it clear that we are tanking and paying $0 for the next 3 years? Nothing but guys willing to play for a scholarship or as a walk-on. We save 3 to 4 years worth of stockpiled NIL money and make it clear that in 2028 or whatever year, we're coming for every top-tier transfer in the portal and bringing a bag with us. Have all the big targets saying, I don't know where I'll be next year, but in 2028, I want Mississippi State throwing the bag at me. We can turn a roster over in one offseason, especially with a ton of cash. Why not play for 1 or 2 magical seasons every decade? It's better than what we have now. Many will laugh, but why am I wrong? How would you feel? Huh?
Ohio State this year. It's not always going to work out. I mean, it's not as predictable as, let's just say, basketball. Just say if BYU got I can't think of his name, but think he got Boozer, AJ
DeBansta,
Malik Thomas. Mm-hmm. There's 4, and then some point guard, whatever. Who's beating them? I mean, who is legitimate going to beat them in a March Madness run? You'd have more of a chance. Football, it's too hard, and you're banking on that happening. Do you think so? Let's say Arkansas does that in 2 to 3 years. How are you going to promise that you're going to have the right coach, the right staff, and you're going to get all these players to come? That is a lot to risk, because you'd almost have to be like saying, I'm going to give up those 2-3 years, but you're guaranteeing me I'm going to get these players. If there's no guarantee, It's to me.
Yeah, and
It's not
I get,
worth
I get what you're saying. I think
Yeah.
in the world that we live in, that there isn't loyalty with
Yeah.
these players, that it is about the money. I'm not saying you would get it each time, but it'd be, I'd be, I'd obviously like another team to try this, like Mississippi State, by all means,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah.
But like I said, there's no
And
loyalty
maybe
here.
Arkansas needs to try it. Hell, I mean, you know what I
I
mean?
mean, how would you feel as a fan if you knew, like, hey, out of this decade, we're going to have 1 to 2 years that we're going to actually compete? No, you're not even guaranteed to get to the playoffs, but every 3-ish years, we're gonna throw the bag.
I'll say this, and this is where, from a Clemson fan, but yet where I think Arkansas would be from a fan standpoint. I think right now where Arkansas is as a fan base, if you could guarantee that, all right, we're going to tank for 2 years and in 3 years we're going to have a legitimate shot to make the college football playoff. We're going to be good enough, and you have a serious run. And then you do, or maybe if you don't that year, the next year you do. I think there's a lot of programs that would take that, because if you're guaranteeing, that would mean you're getting 8, 9, 10 wins. And then, so what if stuck 4 or 5 years? I mean, if you want to go half and half, if you're good half the year, half the decade, you're making the college football playoff 2 years. I think Arkansas fans would accept that, because if you do get there, you're having a chance to win the national championship, and you might pull it off. So I get the premise of it. I mean, it's not like outlandish. I'm just saying the risk isn't worth it, because even if you have all the money, yes, Ohio State won it last year, but to look what happened this year. Look at all these teams that are spending all this money that aren't even in the college football playoff. So it would be hard, because you got to look at, okay, here's another thing. You're basing this plan on what would work right now.
Hmm.
Where the hell you think college athletics is going to be in 3 years?
Hmm.
I mean, we're seeing consulting, we're seeing capital firms getting behind teams. We're talking about farm teams. We're talking about Wake Forest building a whole center based around an entertainment district for their football. I mean, so yeah, you guarantee it, but then what happens if this new model passes you by and teams are doing it? And guess what? What you thought was you were going to be standing alone getting all these players. Now there's 8 to 10 other teams that are right with you. So again, there's just too many risks when it comes to that.
I mean, the rules are constantly changing or non-existent. So you'd be one of those. You could be in, hey, we're going to go ahead and do this. You announce it, you tank a year, and then they're like, oh, hey, now we have a collective bargaining agreement, so you can no longer, you can only pay so much. So,
well, and then you would get into the fact that, say it did happen, well, then you're going to have other people's do something similar. You're going to have more schools try something similar. Maybe they'll tank every other year, and instead of you tanking every 3 years, if you could do it, they're going to find a way to do it sooner. This is the now world we live in. They're going to find a way to do it next year or the year after. Look at Indiana. I mean, hell, you're building teams in 2 years now. So, and then you're guaranteeing, are the kids going to play? I mean, how many kids have getting millions of dollars and they ain't doing a damn thing?
It's a valid question. Get your bag and then not do anything.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I can't remember what was the final score of that game, the Texas Tech game, their final game.
Bad. I'm looking here.
Oh, it's 34
30. Nope, that wasn't it.
No.
23-0.
23-0. Okay. So you spent all the money in the world. This is another thing to ask. You spend all the money in the world, you go 12-2, you make it to the college football playoffs, but then you get blasted 23-0 to a team that then turns around and gets blasted by Indiana. So here comes this fraud thing, and I know there's a lot of talk about integrity and stuff, but you know, you're basically setting a goal to make it, and you're just okay with making it, and then you lay an egg. I know the first year Arkansas fans would be thrilled. I mean, just to be honest, if Arkansas was in Texas Tech's shoes right now, they would be thrilled, and they would have every right to do so because they haven't been there. You make it, and even if you get beat 40-0, I honestly don't think there would be a Razorback fans that would be upset with how the season ended. The game, you might be upset that you got blown out, but I'm talking about if Arkansas makes the college football playoff after everything they've been through and you get beat 40-0, you can't be mad at that whatsoever. I mean, at the outcome of the game, but not the season. So yeah, it'd be worth it for Arkansas' standpoint.
We'll see what happens though. I mean, I don't imagine any coach would honestly sit there and say, "Hey, this is what we're going to do."
Yeah. Oh,
I mean, because that's how you have to really look at it. Is the coach isn't going to openly say, "Hey, we're going to tank the next couple of years."
Well, there's just too much to risk under the fact that if you show your hand, people's going to see what you're doing, and they're going to see how they can do it quicker, or what can they do different. I mean, this is the craziest thing about college football is we don't even know where this thing's going to be in 2027. We have an idea. It's probably going to go to a 16 team, but what if this thing does go to 24 teams? I mean, you never know. And Marcus brings up a good point. You know, our Ole Miss, I'll give a kind of a pass in a sense of what happened with the coaching and all that. You know, what happens if Ole Miss goes 7-5 next year? If Lane Kiffin was still there and the coaching staff was still there and Ole Miss does their run and they got beat, Ole Miss fans would be ecstatic because you made it to the college football playoff. You've achieved something that you haven't done. And then if you go 7-5 next year, okay, you're going to be a little upset, but that's just how it is. I mean, look at Texas. Look at Oregon. We thought Dan Lanning was going to be the next big thing. Now look what happened. You're getting blown out, and you're making it there. And now look at Ryan Day. Okay, all that money got him a national championship. He finally beat Michigan, but you're still not. Now you're not winning the big game.
Paying for that spray on beard that he's got.
Oh my God, he looks like Hulk Hogan back in the NWO days. I swear, I can't. I'm telling you.
And just a quick segue.
Yeah,
shout out to Anthony Black.
Yes.
Dunk of the year. I'm going to play that right quick.
Jackson, no whistle, turnover. Black on the drive. Oh, take that with you.
Nasty.
When I saw it, I was just sitting here. The first thing that came to my head was, last season, Anthony Edwards posterized Anthony Black. And I feel like this is a bit of redemption because he dunked on 4 guys.
Yes.
So no, it's just I've loved Anthony Black's game, and he's gotten progressively better year after year after year. So it's awesome to see, but at the same time, like I've watched that replay I don't know how many times this afternoon.
One, he's got a little brother that's not too shabby either.
Back in black.
I mean, we could really. What do you think? What do you think his chances are that you think he'll come to Arkansas?
I do. Beckham Black, I believe, is currently like the number 2 point guard in the 2027 class. He's growing. He's, I think, listed right now about 6'3". He's moved down to Florida. He's going to a prep school in Orlando. I'm assuming he's living with Anthony down there in Orlando. This is something he was offered by Eric Musselman when he was at Arkansas. So it's one of those things that he already had Arkansas kind of in his sights because his brother went here. Now you're throwing into the mix that John Calipari has reoffered him. So you're throwing in the mix. You've got Arkansas, and you've now got the coach that puts almost every point guard that he has in the league. I think it's a match made in heaven. I think it's the perfect storm of things to happen. Not only has Arkansas on the up and up thanks to Eric Musselman, then you bring in John Calipari, who is the best coach to get you to the NBA and to get you NBA ready. I think it's one of those things that it would take a lot for Anthony Black to not come to Arkansas. And yes, I know that there's still a relationship with Anthony Black and Eric Musselman. But if you look at USC and you look at Arkansas, Arkansas and John Calipari is the best path for Beckham Black to get to the NBA and get there quickly.
Well, and add another caveat to that. Anthony Black's in his third year, and he's averaging 15.7 points a game, 4.1 rebounds, and let's just go 4 assists. What if Cal is saying, hey, look what your brother's doing in his third year. I can get you there in your first year. I can get you there in your second year. I can get you there sooner than your brother. So when you're seeing the part of getting him as a one and done player to come to Arkansas, that's just another added asset that Cal has, because look what we're seeing out of Darius Acuff right now. You've got a guy in Malik Thomas that's putting up 18 points a game. And I'm not saying that the shadow's big, but all the focus is on what Acuff is doing. So if you get him to say, look, I know I can get you to this point, to get you to where you could be a 15-4 and a 3 guy in the league year 1 or year 2, and I can get you the money, it's a no-brainer. I can have you making as much money as your brother your freshman year in college that he was making in year 2, year 3 in the NBA, because I don't think he's re-signed his contract. So I don't know if he's got an extension or he's got a pay raise yet. So you think little brother could be making more money than big brother by the time he gets to Arkansas.
Oh, I mean, it's one of those I'm actually looking. I know Anthony Black hasn't re-signed. Anthony Black should be getting a good extension from Orlando. He's currently on a 4-year, $32.9 million contract. So you're looking at a little over 8 a year.
Okay. Yeah.
And his was fully guaranteed. 4th-year option exercised by the Magic for the 26-27 season. Yeah, so he'll be up for new contract next season at some point. So yeah, he's going to get paid after this. So it's something that you're mixing. You've got older brother showing you the way right now with what he's doing. You're both down there living in Orlando. You've moved from Duncanville to a prep school. And then you have Calipari knocking on your door. I mean, it's one of those things that can go one of two ways. It could be the perfect storm for him to excel, exceed expectations, ball out, or it could be one of those things that, will the spotlight be too big?
Yeah.
But I do believe between Anthony Black and John Calipari, they could probably bring him down to earth a little bit, saying, hey, this is what you have to do, A, B, and C, to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I mean, I know we're talking 2027 now, but it's one of those. I'm excited for Beckham Black and his future in general. I'm excited for Anthony Black and what he's doing currently in the NBA. And this is one of my favorite times of year, because, we got the national championship coming up. We've got NFL playoffs going on. I'm more of a basketball guy than I am football guy. So this is my
prime ready to go. And you're more than likely going to win the belt again. So, I mean,
I wasn't going to bring that up, but,
Well, I am. I mean, I'm just fighting to get out. If I don't get last place, I'm cool. I'm kind of like Arkansas right now. As long as I'm not last in the SEC, I'm not last in the league, I'm okay. But you know what? I am going to form my own NIL, and I'm going to have Bet Saracen make my picks for me, and I'm going to see how that plays out. So,
DP and Matt both think that I'm still tied to Vegas somehow. So, hey, at least the FBI is not investigating me for point shaving.
That's true. But before we go, we'll tell you about our sponsor from Bet Saracen. Calendar reset, but the action didn't. New Year is here, and the biggest betting opportunities are just getting started. We have partnered up with Bet Saracen to team up to put free money in your hands. You bet $25 and get $250 in free bets when you use the promo code HOG250. So you have 10 days from registration to place and settle your initial qualifying wager. $25 qualifying bet must be placed on a 250 odds or longer to receive your $250 in free bets. You have 14 days after you sign up. Again, register, enter your promo code HOG250, place your $25 wager, and enjoy $250 in free bets. Terms and conditions apply. Got anything else to wrap it up?
I hope that Saracen's not listening, but might need to go make myself some other accounts just to try
There
to
you
get
go.
some money in that.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Adam Hall, I'm Porter Hayes. Want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Don't forget to come back on Sunday night, 8:05, Hog HQ Live. We'll be back on Monday, regular time, 6:05. Everybody have a great weekend, and we will catch you on Monday.